agree. I don't think Senate File 4 stops the governor's executive orders or rescinds any of them. It doesn't because they're working, and right now it's the only thing on the table that is working to protect Minnesotans. Minnesotans expect us to get them through this pandemic. Our businesses do, our schools do, our constituents do. They do not want us up here week after week doing this partisan bickering and poking at a governor that this body in the majority does not agree with. Considering that all of what our state has gone through between the residents, businesses, healthcare, schools, we've lost nearly 7,000 of our fellow Minnesotans. I believe Governor Walz has used the law afforded to him that was lawfully passed and signed into law judiciously. He's had to because he's had no partner. And you know what? Senate File 4 is not going to require him to have a partner. It's not going to achieve what the majority party wants it to. All it's going to do is continue down this road of partisan attacks that has really turned off Minnesotans. The legislature is a deliberative body. It is not set up to react in a quick, expedient, decisive manner, which is exactly what a pandemic or a peacetime emergency would require. The Minnesotans expect us to deal with this emergency. A lot of other states have the emergency powers and emergency orders now to deal with exactly what this state is going through. I want to give some examples of what I think elaborate or highlight why Senate File 4 won't achieve what its intended use is. It's been mentioned about the CARES funding, and that was done separate besides the emergency powers. I agree with Senator Benson on that. And you know what? Senator Rosen and I agreed on the CARES money and the distribution, but the other body didn't, Mr. President. So we all know that it takes a bill passed by both bodies to get to the governor's desk. The counties and cities were begging for that money, and yet the legislature couldn't agree. The governor wanted us to. The governor wanted us to do our job, but we didn't. And so through that process, he was able to, the LEC process, he was able to get that money, that much needed money for businesses, to make sure we weren't laying off police officers, public health officials. We didn't agree as a legislature, and it delayed that response. And then Senate File 4 doesn't require a plan. So yeah, it says we have to come back in, but nowhere in this bill does it say that we have to pass a plan that unrolls any executive order. And I don't know. The bills that are coming out of the majority party, one titled "Duty to Not Report," which is tort liability. Well, that would be, I think, the complete opposite of how you would want to control a pandemic, a very infectious, real virus. And then there's other things that executive orders have protected. This body still has not addressed the issue of price gouging, which is protected by the executive order. And I know there are bills pending a hearing to be able to do that. So Senate File 4 doesn't address that. Also, the executive orders allow for us, the peacetime declaration allows for us to accept federal funds and assistance very quickly. And we don't always agree on that federal funding. I mean, HAVA was tied up for over a year and a half because it couldn't be agreed to. Again, another example of how Senate File 4 does not require any sort of plan or any sort of requirement that we actually sit down, negotiate, come together, and cooperate. If you want, as the Constitution says, and we all expect to be a co-equal branch of government, then act like it. Reach out your hand across the aisle. Reach out your hand to the other body. Reach out your hand and respond to letters sent to you by the governor. Coming together and collaborating will, to have continuity for our residents, our businesses, our schools, our healthcare workers, our first responders, is the way to resolve this, not partisan poking at each other. So let's lead, show some leadership. You know, hindsight is 20/20, we know that, Mr. President. And you know what, maybe a county by county approach might have been a better way. Maybe it was. And maybe there, was a better approach for notice to our businesses and schools and everything like that. And we may never know. But Senate File 4 does not get at that issue of how a plan would have done better coming from this legislature. Because, as I pointed out, with numerous examples, we can't agree and it takes time. But I have hope, Mr. President, I have hope. Because I think we are so close, and you and I, Mr. President, we both love football. I think we're like on the 5-yard line with an agreement to unwind the eviction notices, moratorium. Because Senator Draheim has sat down with us, negotiated and talked. So I think we're there. So I have hope that we're going to come together with a plan and deliver for Minnesotans. But I can tell you that Senate 4 does not achieve that goal. Thank you, Mr. President.